Is the world starting to turn its back on the United States? Donald Trump's so-called tariff war has sparked global backlash, with Europe and Canada leading a growing boycott against American goods. From liquor and cars to Tesla and Hollywood, businesses are feeling the impact. The Boycott USA movement is gaining traction, and major companies are scrambling to respond. Meanwhile, Canada and the EU are strengthening trade ties with new deals. Is this the beginning of America's decline in global trade? In this video, we will break down the reason behind the chaos and the consequences. Make sure to subscribe and press the bell icon for future updates. Donald Trump's sweeping 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum have now sparked an international revolt. The EU has announced retaliatory measures worth $28 billion, targeting American industrial machinery, agricultural products, and major exports. These new tariffs, set to take effect in April, represent the strongest European pushback against U.S. trade policy in decades. From Europe to Canada, consumers and businesses are rejecting American goods in response to what they see as unfair trade practices. The Boycott USA movement has gained momentum, with industries from liquor and automobiles to tourism and technology feeling the impact. The European countries are making it easier for their people to avoid American brands. The frustration isn't just about tariffs, it's about a larger dissatisfaction with Trump's foreign policy and his combative stance toward allies. Countries that once relied on the US are now looking elsewhere, and the economic consequences are mounting. Canadian and European officials are doubling down on trade ties to expand their military industry. With tensions escalating, other countries are also preparing for a prolonged standoff, and some countries are taking the boycott movement even further with official actions. European countries are hitting back hard, with major boycotts against American goods and even government-backed initiatives to promote European alternatives. Denmark has seen an explosion of anti-US sentiment, largely in response to Trump's Greenland controversy. A Facebook group called Boycott Goods from the US has attracted nearly 73,000 members, and major retailers are actively labeling European products to help consumers avoid American goods. Sweden's movement is even bigger, with over 80,000 citizens pledging to stop buying from US brands. France has joined the push with its own Buy French and European campaign, calling on citizens to prioritize domestic products over American imports. Meanwhile, Norway's largest fuel supplier has gone as far as cutting off the US Navy, refusing to supply fuel to American warships in Norwegian waters. The economic shift is already happening, and European leaders are making it clear that they are ready to stand firm against Trump's trade policies. But Europe isn't alone. Canada is taking a strong stance of its own. Canada, once one of America's closest trade partners, is leading the charge against Trump's economic aggression. The backlash has been fierce, with Canadian businesses and consumers actively distancing themselves from American products. The Liquor Control Board of Ontario has removed U.S. spirits from its shelves, dealing a major blow to brands like Jack Daniel's. Ontario Premier Doug Ford canceled a $100 million contract with Elon Musk's Starlink to reduce reliance on U.S. companies. Buy Canadian campaigns are taking off, supported by new apps like Buy Beaver and MapleScan, which help shoppers identify American products so they can avoid them. Even tourism is affected. Canadian road trips to the US dropped by 23% in a single month, threatening billions in revenue for American businesses. The message from Canada is clear. If the US is going to impose tariffs, Canada will hit back with its economic weapons. And speaking of economic consequences, one American company is feeling the heat more than most: Tesla. Elon Musk's close ties to Trump may be costing Tesla billions. Sales in Europe have plummeted by 45%, and the backlash is growing. Musk's recent political moves, including his advisory role in the Trump administration and controversial speech at an AfD rally in Germany, have further fueled anti-Tesla sentiment. His appearance at the event, combined with a questionable gesture at Trump's inauguration, had led to widespread protests and even legal scrutiny in Germany. In Canada, Tesla has been directly impacted by the government's decision to pull contracts with Musk's companies. Poland's Minister of Sports and Tourism has called for a full boycott of Tesla, and German authorities have launched investigations into Musk's political affiliations. The ripple effects of the boycott are real, and Tesla's stock has taken a hit, losing 15% of its value in just one day. As consumer confidence in the brand erodes, Tesla may have to rethink its global strategy to survive the fallout. But the movement isn't just about economics, it's also cultural. This isn't just a trade war, it's a cultural rejection of Trump's America. Renowned German violinist Christian Tetzlaff canceled his U.S. tour, refusing to perform in a country he sees as embracing authoritarianism. In Canada, U.S. national anthems have been booed at sporting events, and artists are reconsidering their collaborations with American institutions. The boycott is extending to Hollywood, with European streaming services favoring homegrown content over American productions. Even in Norway, businesses are making a statement. Haltbach Bunkers, the nation's largest fuel supplier, publicly denounced the U.S. administration and severed ties with the American military. The world is pushing back against what it sees as an increasingly toxic U.S. influence under Trump's leadership. And if this continues, American soft power could face long-term damage that extends well beyond the economy. So, where does this leave the U.S.? Businesses are already scrambling to adapt. The new alliances forming have American business leaders on edge. Companies that rely on global markets are already feeling the pain, with some considering relocating manufacturing outside of the U.S. to escape retaliatory tariffs. The beverage industry is taking a major hit. Japanese drinks giant Suntory Holdings, which owns Jim Beam, has warned that U.S. brands will struggle internationally due to both tariffs and anti-Trump sentiment. European retailers are also making it easier for consumers to reject American products by labeling alternatives with "Buy Local" tags. Some American businesses may have no choice but to shift operations overseas or rebrand entirely. The longer this boycott lasts, the harder it will be for U.S. companies to regain their foothold in global markets. Meanwhile, Canada and Europe are strengthening ties, raising the question, do they even need the U.S. anymore? With U.S. relations deteriorating, Canada and the EU are deepening their trade partnership. The Canada-European Union Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement is being fast-tracked for further expansion, allowing for tariff-free trade between the two regions. European leaders see Canada as a more stable and reliable partner for military deals than the U.S. And with American tariffs making U.S. military arms and vehicles more expensive, Canadian and European products are becoming more attractive alternatives. This shift could lead to a long-term realignment of global trade, with Canada emerging as Europe's preferred economic ally. If this trend continues, the U.S. may find itself increasingly isolated, losing its influence in markets it once dominated. For now, Canada and Europe are sending a clear message. They're ready to move on without the U.S. if necessary. So, what happens next? The future of global trade is at a crossroads. The U.S. is facing an unprecedented global rejection, fueled by Trump's trade policies, protectionism, and political controversies. The tariff war is reshaping global trade. With Europe and Canada strengthening ties, American businesses are losing ground. Tesla's sales are plummeting, U.S. products are being removed from shelves, and even cultural figures are rejecting Trump's America. The EU is looking for new partners apart from the U.S., undermining the reality that most of their revenue comes from American markets. Can European countries survive without America? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more updates on the global economic shifts.